I lost you, huh?
Yeah, I think maybe my reception over here got bad, so I just went on ahead and transferred over to a landline.
Oh, okay. That's good. You know, and I'm on the cell here now. I'm actually in my car. I took my son to do a placement math test, so...
Okay, cool. So what did you want to be when you were a kid?
That's really funny. I always kind of gravitated towards music, and at one point, you know, I was really into the whole God scene, too, and I thought maybe I'd do some type of musical ministry, and I kind of fell away from that once I got into the whole jazz guy thing. We started worshiping other creatures.
Right. Excellent. So,
but I always had that, you know, from a very early age, really just loved music. And, every time I heard something on the radio or whatever, I thought, wow, I want to be one of those kind of guys.
Cool. So how long have you been playing music, Mark?
Well, really, since my start with the Grandview schools. They had a wonderful band program back in those days, and they gave everybody really the chance to try an instrument in the 5th grade. And I picked up the cornet, which is essentially the trumpet, and I've been playing it ever since. Wow.
So how many instruments do you play, Mark?
Well, you got the trumpet, and I do for the TV show. I doubled on harmonica and on guitar, and I sang. And then also for Conan's tour, I sang one of our opening numbers. And I don't know if anybody went to the show in Kansas City. I ran down through the audience with cordless mics and, ended up playing the trumpet and holding a note for like 4 or 5 minutes.
Right on. Yeah, I tried to get tickets, and that was a hot number to come by.
Yeah, it was tough. I kept on lobbying for us to do more than one night in Kansas City, and finally we didn't even spend 24 hours in Kansas City. We basically drove through it. We stayed there for the afternoon and did the show, and at least I got to see my family and everybody.
That's cool. Yeah, did you guys get some barbecue?
Yeah, I accidentally arranged for the 4 tour buses to each have a presidential plate from Gates on it for the drive up to Minneapolis after the show.
Oh, that's good eating right there.
Oh, my God. Barbecue overdose, man.
Man, yeah, especially when you've been away from it for a while, I bet it was heaven sent.
Oh, that was so great.
So how did you get the nickname the Loveman?
Wow. Yeah, that's kind of, that's a hard one to explain sometimes. I was in this band in the early 80s called Little Steven and the Disciples of Soul, and Little Steven is Stevie Van Zandt, who plays Silvio on The Sopranos, but at that time, he was known as Bruce Springsteen's musical director and guitar player, Little Steven, and we did his first solo record, and I was in a hotel room with the headphones on singing along to Marvin Gaye, and he kept on knocking on my door to try to get my attention, and of course I didn't hear him. So that night, those guys, the Jersey rock guys, loved the nickname. So that night, he started calling me the Loveman, and it stuck throughout his tour. And then I was introduced to just about everybody else I met after that. Bruce Springsteen, everybody started calling me the Loveman. I don't even think they knew my real name. And I tried to shake it a couple of times. He said, "No, it's just Mark Pender. That's good, And then somebody would say, Loveman. And, it'd all start all over again. But now, I'm completely happy with it. There are a lot worse nicknames.
Oh, absolutely. No, that's a cool story. Definitely. How long has the Mark Pender Band been around, and how's the new CD, DVD going for you?
Well, we've been around for quite a while. I started doing gigs in the New York area probably in the mid-'80s. And, to varying degrees of success and failure. I put out the one CD on my own. I sold several thousand copies. I'm working on another one. The problem that I have now is that now that I'm living in California, my core band is still in New York. So I have a very large logistical problem. And the only time I've been able to hook up with these guys is when I've done some gigs. We did the Cherokee Jazz Blues Festival up in Iowa in January, just before I lost my job.
Right.
I was just finding out about it that weekend. That was the week before that. That was pretty pretty amazing time.
Sure,
But,
sure.
And then a couple of other New York gigs, and that's pretty much all I've had. And I'm going to try to put the band back together out here, and I might have to toy around with personnel for a while. So it's taking me a while to get adjusted to being out here for my own solo projects.
Sure. So who are your favorite musicians to work with?
Wow. Well, the guys in the Conan band, are just, they're like brothers to me. We're like a family. If there's anybody I'd like to be on stage with and feel comfortable with, it's them. And of course, specifically, also Loveman, the trombone player. We've been playing together for, it's almost 30 years. And they said it wouldn't work out. But we've been hanging out doing gigs together with various bands and on sessions and stuff forever. And another guy who, I know he was with me on these tours too, Bruce Springsteen, was just probably one of the most inspirational, creative people to work with.
Wow.
And growing up, I was not a huge fan, but once I met him and saw him and understood the type of music that he did, I just fell in love with that kind of music and that kind of sound and energy, and drawing from rhythm and blues and drawing from the roots of rock and roll and folk music. There's really nobody that has more pure of a creative flow when he's in the middle of something, and probably nobody with a better work ethic. And when I did two tours with him, the Tunnel of Love tour in the late '80s, and then the Seeger Sessions tour for that record. And when he's working out stuff, the creative process is just amazing. I always felt like I became a little bit better by being around him.
Excellent.
Can't say that about that many people.
Sure, I bet. How did you land the gig with the Max Weinberg 7 initially with the Conan O'Brien Show?
Well, we auditioned as a band, and I actually knew Max through Springsteen's project, and there was another band that myself and Jerry Vivino, the saxophone player, and Jimmy, his brother, the musical director, and now band leader for the band, were doing this jump blues project with Max called Killer Joe, and we did a lot of it was kind of pretty much like Kansas City style music, and we were playing some gigs around New York, and Max secured the audition with the record that we recorded, and we went in and did the audition, and to my surprise, we got it. It was I was completely blown away.
Cool.
Because I'd never done that. I'd never been part of that many audition processes. I'd usually be recommended for something, and you're either doing the gig or you weren't doing the gig. And in this case, there was an audition with something like 15 to 17 different bands that made the cut, and then we got it. That's pretty amazing.
Absolutely. What's the best thing about working with Conan?
The best thing of working with Conan is his fierce sense of loyalty and his love of music. We're looking at now, we've been part of 3 separate projects with him, Late Night, The Tonight Show, and the tour, and he's always treated us with so much respect and kindness. And he's another person who just continually works at his craft, and his work ethic is just amazing. And in this last tour, he did a lot more musical numbers than we had ever done before with him. And to see how hard he worked at it and how much he progressed as a musician over time, it was just always helps in the industry. Especially in TV, if your boss loves music. Absolutely.
So you guys all pretty amped up for the new TBS gig?
Oh yeah, I'm just completely excited, and it's now is kind of a tough period because I've come off this extreme high from the tour, and now I'm home back in the LA area, and I don't have so many gigs lined up until we start up again. So I am going to New York this weekend. I'm doing a gig, and I have a couple of other things. But for the most part, I don't have anything steady until we start our rehearsals. This is a little bit of a difficult period, but I'm really excited about getting back on the air and getting back with all the guys.
Now, since you're going from network TV to a cable station, is there a sense of relief of kind of a creative license that you're going to have? And just overall, is there a relief going on right now?
I have no idea because they don't have us in for any of the writers' meetings. So I would imagine that, Conan just seems so pleased with the whole TBS development. And I think that there's got to be a lot of reasons for that. Maybe that's one of them. Maybe the fact that he's really, really wanted there too is something else. It seems like TBS really wanted him, and that's got to feel good.
Absolutely. I'm going to switch to music again. Who are your favorite jazz musicians?
My favorite jazz musicians, coming from the Kansas City area, I'd have to say Count Basie. I must have seen like a dozen times growing up in Kansas City. I love Dizzy Gillespie. I love Miles. I love Maynard Ferguson. Probably started playing the trumpet because of Herb Alpert.
Yeah.
When they gave us a choice of horns, they were playing a lot of him on the radio at that time.
Sure.
It's just kind of endless. Jimi Hendrix is just a huge fan of Jimi Hendrix.
Wow. Cool.
There was so much music, that generation too. We just had so much great music around. And, it was, what a great time. And then all the rhythm and blues and funk and, what a great time for live music.
Oh, absolutely. Who do you admire the most? Who's a hero to you?
What's that? Who do I admire the most?
Yeah, who would be a hero for you?
A hero for me?
Yeah.
Wow. There's so many. I had so many mentors growing up and so many people who, gave of themselves so freely to help me out with it without seeking anything in return.
Mm-hmm.
And those people are truly the heroes for me. And, Alan Epstein was one of them. There were, and when I started playing in Kansas City, Willie Rice he was the director of the Inner City Orchestra, my first full-time job. He really took me under his wing and treated me like I was his son almost. Steve Harvey, we became really good friends, a saxophone player. These people I really looked up to, and then of course my dad was a very strong individual, and everybody loved him. He was so charismatic. I kind of started out fairly shy in Grandview, and somehow I found a way into the entertainment business. So a lot of people I looked up to had big hearts and were willing to go a long ways. Those are really the, it's maybe not the big names that you think of that are the true heroes to me, but it's those people who make a difference in like your everyday quality of life without seeking anything in return for it,
Absolutely. No, I would expect that would be the answer for sure. I tell you what, Mark, that is all I got. And on a personal level, I got to tell you, I'm a massive fan of Conan. I can't wait for November. And I'm crossing my fingers for the Emmy win for you guys.
Oh boy, I sure hope. Yeah, that would be a good one. That would be a little bit of justice on our part, wouldn't it?
Oh man, that would be the best justice I'd seen in TV in years. So, but thank you, sir. You're a class act. I appreciate you getting back with us, and good luck with everything with Conan in the future.
Well, thanks a lot, and I look forward to seeing you out there sometime when I come out. I was hoping to make it out before the summer's over, but it's not looking good.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you're out this way, I'd love to meet you. That'd be great.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Mark. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.